Traders are anxiously awaiting today's policy statement coming from the officials at the Federal Reserve. Joining us on set this morning, John Blank. He's chief equity strategist at Zacks. You're keeping tabs on the Fed action. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you, Angie. Good to
now,
be here.
The first thing I want to mention about the Fed is we have two new Fed members coming on board, and you actually have a background with both.
I was a TA for Stanley Fischer, and Lael Brainerd, who was going to be a voting member this time around, was a junior professor when I was a grad student.
What should we expect from them? Will they key in on what Janet Yellen is doing, who's the Fed chair?
That actually may be a little different because Stanley Fischer is really seen as the dominant and preeminent economist of his generation. And Janet Yellen is a labor economist. And Stanley Fischer's worked at Citibank, worked at the IMF, he's run the Central Bank of Israel. So he is going to have a great deal of influence on the language and the approach of this monetary policy. So I actually think it's going to be fairly significant for him. For Lael Brainerd, she more likely will be a lot quieter voice and more supportive of what Janet Yellen's already planning to do.
What is likely to come out of that Fed action today? What do you suppose they'll mention in their policy statement?
Well, there's three things that they'll go after. One is they will probably keep the taper on track because they like consistency. They like keeping the market on its message. So $10 billion will fall off of mortgage backs and bonds, almost for sure. The mid-2015 short-term interest rate hike that everybody is looking for, they will put some language out that affirms that or moves that. And they may move it because the central bank head of the Bank of England, Mark Carney, has alluded to the idea of that having some flexibility. So they need to address that language, whether it is in fact going to move or not. And there are camps there. The third and most critical point, which is hidden in the other two, is how fast and how rapidly they move the short rate up in the middle of 2015. That language matters almost more than the other two because the real issue is the long-term interest rate, which is the sum of short-term interest rates. So it's not just the short-term interest rate that's going to see 0 to middle 15 or 25 basis points from there, but if they go up fast, that can move the 10-year Treasury up a whole percentage point in 2 or 3 weeks here, right away. So that's the language that's critical. How fast, how rapidly, how high will they move when they move? That's what we got to look for.
John, thank you so much for coming in with that quick preview. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Eddie.